Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Sleeper Agent X here today with a commentary / NCAA college basketball bracket, and just gonna discuss my bracket and why I think this is the case. Alright, let's pick out a car here. I'm gonna turn this Venom Classic into something awesome. Alright guys, so I'm starting out with the Kentucky winning over the West Kentucky University, abbreviated as WKU, WKU, yeah, sorry. And I have them winning because they're not only because they're the #1 seed, but because they have players. WKU it doesn't have that kind of potential that Kentucky itself has. And I have Iowa State versus UConn, which is already like pre-set up, you know. I have UConn winning that under belief that Alabama will win. I have UConn winning because I like their playing skills better than I do with Alabama, and I've never been an Alabama fan myself, as I feel they're not good enough. And so I have next in the other part of that, I have Wichita State versus VCU, which was already set up, and I have Wichita winning that, and I have Indiana winning the Indiana versus New Mexico State. Now that's pretty self-explanatory. That's like, it's obvious how that's gonna plan out. There's no way that something like that as a matchup can be possibly lost, you know, unless there was a big upset, you know, such as if Baylor were to play Purdue and the national champion. That'd be like the hugest upset in the world. Like, it can't be that, can it? I don't know. I should stop questioning myself. I think it's fine. So I have next, well, after those two play up, I have Kentucky versus Wichita, and Kentucky going out of that. That's my top half of my Southern. And so the bottom half of my Southern is the UNLV winning over Colorado, and I have Baylor beating Southern Dakota State, and at that game I have Baylor winning over UNLV. And then I have Notre Dame winning the ND versus Xavier game, and I have Duke winning Duke versus Lay. And I have Duke winning the ND game with them, under previous belief that Notre Dame would win. So in the end, the Baylor versus Duke game, I have Baylor winning. People really think Duke would win. That's mostly spectating because Duke is #2 seed, whereas Baylor's #3. I still say Baylor has this better kind of playing style, I guess. I don't know how you really want to put it, but I feel like they're just better. So, ooh, look at that. Alright, so out of that Kentucky versus Baylor, I have Kentucky winning the Southern regional part of this 4-part bracket. Now, we're going down to the West regional now, and I have Michigan State winning that Michigan State LIU Brooklyn game, and I have Memphis beating St. Louis. Michigan State obviously would win over LIU Brooklyn because, let's face it, LIU has a piece of crap team. Like, they don't even have anything. Like, why are they even here? That's just my personal opinion. Many people go against me on my belief. Everybody believes me on that Michigan State would win, but some people don't like the way I look at LIU. But anyway, in the New Mexico Long Beach, I have New Mexico winning and Louisville beating Davidson. Pretty if you were to look at it, it just seems like it would win. And over the New Mexico Louisville, I have a Louisville coming out of that. A couple people I know believe that New Mexico would win that. I can't see it. Like, I really can't. I tried to envision it, I'm like, I can't see it. So, I'm going with that. And then out of that Michigan State versus Louisville game, I have Michigan State coming out. And that's top half. Bottom half will be Murray State beating Colorado State and Marquette beating BYU. Marquette, I don't like their team on their personal belief. Not saying they're bad by any means, I just don't like it. Their team at all, but a lot of people like them, including, you know, any of you listeners might. So then out of that, I have the Florida, Missouri, which I think I already said, but I don't remember. Out of that game, actually, hold on, let me back up a second. Florida beat the Florida-Virginia game, and Missouri beat its enemy in the game, also known as Norfolk State, and it's, in the end, Murray State versus Missouri, and then it goes down to Missouri versus Michigan State as the whole Western Regional bracket, and I believe that Missouri will come out of that game and beat Michigan State. And that's it for the left half of the bracket. Would be Kentucky versus Missouri for the South and West. So now moving on to the, let's see, East. Let's move on to the East. Alright, I got Syracuse beating UNC Asheville, obviously. I know Syracuse has lost their best player, and maybe even only player if you really think about it. But I have Vanderbilt beating Harvard, obviously, and Wisconsin beating Montana, another obvious. I don't know. Syracuse, Vanderbilt, I have Syracuse beating that Southern Miss and Vanderbilt beating that Wisconsin. So it goes down to Syracuse versus Vanderbilt, and I have Vanderbilt winning. Vanderbilt, I think, will come out in the end for the upset because they actually have their players on their team, unlike Syracuse, that will be crippled by their loss and their only player, really. But you never know. It's a tight game. I believe it could possibly be anywhere between 6 and 2 points as a loss, or maybe even 1, but you know, free throws and everything, just count it up to 2. So that's the top half. Bottom half, I have Texas beating Cincinnati. I've never really liked Cincinnati. However, that's not what my mindset was when I picked this. My mindset was, well, Texas, I think, hasn't shown their full potential yet, as I've seen them before and they can play pretty good. I have Florida State beating St. Bonaventure. I can never pronounce the name. I think I said that right. Bonaventure. Can't remember. So the Texas-Florida State game, I have Florida State beating Texas. And then on the other side, I have West Virginia beating Gonzaga, and Ohio State beating Loyola, obviously. And I have Florida State versus OSU. Now this is where I got into a little fight with someone who thinks OSU would win. OSU, okay, is a good enough team to get this far, okay? However, OSU is burning out. Their flame has literally been capped, and there is going to be a vacuum hose put into it and water spewing out of it, and the candle will burn out. That's just what I think, because OSU has a good team, But then they start becoming the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're good in one half, and then they literally get shitted on in the next part. So I have Florida State versus Vanderbilt in the end on the Eastern Regional, and I have Florida State winning that game in the East Regional Championship. So then I go down, and finally, to the Midwest region, the last one until I reveal my national championships setup, which, yeah, national championship. Anyway, I have, in the Midwest, I have North Carolina versus Alabama, after Alabama beats Creighton and North Carolina beats Lamar. Now, obviously North Carolina will beat Lamar. North Carolina has unlimited potential, I believe, and they haven't even begun to use it. My Alabama-Creighton game, my belief on Alabama winning is because they have a great team and they will continue to pressure the Creighton team until they break down and cry and lose. Now then I have Temple winning the Temple versus Cali team, Cali South Florida team, as it's mostly called. And I have Michigan beating Ohio, not Ohio State, Ohio. Ohio, I mean, I don't really pay attention to Ohio as much. I don't really pay attention to Midwest as much as I do any of the rest. However, I do look at them for an accurate bracket. The North Carolina-Alabama game, I have North Carolina winning out of that. And that, which would be the Temple beating Temple is losing to Michigan. That's what I wrote. I crossed it out and put Michigan instead of Temple. My thinking on that was, well, Michigan, I think, has an equal thing to Temple. By player skill and everything else that would be involved. But I think Michigan is going to kind of overcome Temple a little bit, because I haven't seen Temple play really well. Doesn't mean they're not going to. It's just my personal belief on it, that they won't really do much. So out of that, I have North Carolina finally going into it all. Anyway, on the other side of it, I have San Diego State beating NC State. That's kind of obvious. I mean, San Diego's not a good team, but I believe they have enough potential to beat North Carolina State. The Georgetown-Belmont, I have Georgetown winning. Originally, I thought about Belmont, but I'm like, nah, I think Georgetown has better potential in it. Not judging by its seed, because I've seen Belmont play only a couple times around, though. But I still believe Georgetown will win this. And then I have that San Diego-Georgetown game. I have Georgetown winning. Again, none of this in which I've said is based on seed, okay? It's simply based on what I think and what their skill potential is. I have, on the other side of that, St. Mary's beating Purdue, and I had Kansas beating Detroit. Now, this whole St. Mary's-Purdue thing is in my head, and will be in my head for the rest of my life, if I like, get this wrong. Purdue has been pretty good, but this year, I feel like they've lost it. I don't feel like they play as good, and that's what I just think that's how it's gonna go. Personal belief again, but that's what I think. So I have that Kansas-Detroit game. Obviously, I have Kansas winning, and I have Kansas overcoming St. Mary's, and going up against Georgetown. And against that, and pretty much against all odds, I think Kansas will come out of that alive. I know a few people that say in Georgetown and how they will win and how their skill level is greater than Kansas. I don't know about that. Kansas has their skill potential, I think, almost cranked up. It is basically, if there was 100 volume on your computer, I'm just looking at, volume thing. If it were to be that, I think they're at 95, and Georgetown, I think, is going along with the OSU thing and burning out. So, in the end of the Midwest region, I have North Carolina versus Kansas and North Carolina coming out. So finally, we are going into the national championship games. My lineup: Kentucky versus Missouri and Florida State versus North Carolina. This is where I got into my critical thinking process. I went into the back crevices of my mind to even begin thinking of the potentials of these games and what could possibly be the outcome on any of this. But after I really thought about it, I had, instead of going to belief of most people, I had winning the Kentucky versus Missouri. I had Kentucky winning, believe it or not, and then I had overall in the other game, which is Florida State versus North Carolina, I have Florida State losing to North Carolina. Again, that was not based on seed, as it will change, I truly believe, towards the end. But, overall, so then, it's Kentucky versus NCU in the final championship game. This is where it got tricky, okay? This is where it got really tricky. I thought about it. Did that guy... What the... Okay. Someone explain that, because the guy just disappeared too. But anyway, in the Kentucky versus NCU, I have North Carolina University winning. That will be a tight game, I believe, and it took a lot of thinking. Kentucky, it had its days. However, I feel that it will go down as an upset game. Not really the fact that the two are up against each other. However, I do know a lot of people that would consider it an upset because it's either North Carolina or Kentucky, therefore. I'm up against North Carolina. I don't think it'll be an upset against teams. I think it'll be an upset in who will win. So in the end, it's North Carolina winning the national championship title as NCAA tournament winner of 2012. And if you have not completed your bracket, I will link it. And if you did complete a bracket, why don't you like post a picture or something on mine. Just go up to something called imgur.com, imgur.com, upload the photo from your computer, and post the link on my comments. I'll take a look at it, I'll see how you're doing, and I'm not going to criticize it, but I will make a few comments on it if I feel so needed to. And then, I forgot to mention something really important. My final score for that game, the Kentucky versus NCU. I have 86 for North Carolina and 78 for Kentucky. Fair score. Am I right? It's not like I'm playing favoritism here. It's not like I'm hating on anybody. It's just the game itself, I believe, is going to be very, very close. However, people would disagree with me, as some of you probably are saying, what is he talking about with that score? It is going to be a blowout game. Never have I seen a blowout game in the NCAA tournament game. However, that doesn't mean there hasn't been, as I haven't seen a tournament game since 2008. I started watching 2005, I missed 2006 and 7, and then I started watching them all back in 2008. I don't have a tiebreaker. If I were to think of a tiebreaker, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin with a tiebreaker. I've never seen a tiebreaker either, so I really didn't feel a need to get one. So there's my bracket. There will be pictures posted inside the video as I'm talking about them. Like the top half, bottom half thing. So feel free to look at those. Any comments, questions, concerns, smart remarks, you know, criticism, whatever, put it in the comments. I'll see what you have to say. I'll consider it. My bracket won't really change. This is my bracket. So all I'm really wondering is what your bracket is, and what you think of it, and how you think it will all end up. So let me finish customizing this car, and I will be off. So speaking of this NCAA, in the second round, okay, I think that's the hardest part to actually think about because of all the teams that are there. But in reality, it's not really that much different from really just NBA. However, NBA is just filled with a bunch of pansies flying around, flailing their arms. LeBron James. I have been thinking about the NBA, not really as critically as I have NCAA college, as NCAA includes that, but whatever. And college as a overall, I've really been watching. I don't know. I've just been interested in it rather than the NBA because I think it's a lot better. So, and then I have to think about, you know, how they played this year. You can't think about how they played last year because that can change. Like, I've seen OSU play fabulous one year, and then they're like, nope, we're awful. It's like, oh, thanks. But other than that, they're not good. So, how do you like this transformation in the past two? I can make a stupid car look awesome, as I've shown you here how I transformed a small little stupid Danville into this. So that's it for today, guys. My NCAA bracket is here. I've just told you, and hope you come to tell me what yours is and what you think about it. So this is X-Sleeper Agent X signing out, hoping you have a good March Madness month, and hope you have a perfect bracket. If you do, if you have a perfect bracket, and your picture is posted in this comment, I will praise you. I will put you on ESPN, because I know people who work there, and I will, like, do whatever. So, but your picture has to be posted. You have to have the same picture posted. Okay, it has to be 2012, has to be all there. And if you try and say it's there, but it's really not, to make things simpler, you could personal message me. I will save your bracket underneath your name, okay? and I will see what you got. So guys, hope you had a good time listening, what you thought of my bracket, and I will see you next time I'm here, which will have other Saints Row 2 gameplays. It will actually talk about them. It will be about the CD locations in this game. In case you don't know what CDs are, there are 50 there. Each 10 gives you a secret music track that are built inside the game, and the CDs are spread all across the map, actually the game itself, and they're very hard to find, as there are 50 spread across everywhere here. So, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.